Hey everybody, welcome back to Praying Well. I'm Mike St. Pierre, your host. If you're brand new, welcome. It's awesome to have you. Make sure you either like this video or subscribe to the channel. And if you're a returning visitor, viewer, I don't know what we call you, welcome back. It's great to have you. We're going to talk today about sitting still and why it is so doggone hard for so many of us, especially as it relates to prayer. It is not easy to sit still. I mean, really, think about it. When was the last time you sat comfortably in a chair and you just looked out the window? You had a daydream, or your mind was wandering and it just went somewhere. If you're like me, those moments are rare. And they're rare because we're addicted to our cell phones. Can we just be honest about it? And it might actually be deeper than just, yeah, I have a short attention span, I have a phone in my pocket. It might actually bleed into your time of prayer. So I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about, first of all, what are the causes, and then 7 simple ways that you can sit still. All right, you ready? Ready to sit still and read this at the same time? Okay, so first let's take a look at the causes. When you want to have a quiet time, it is important to be able to sit still. So we're talking no fidgeting, no distractions, and this is harder than it sounds. From my experience, there are probably 4 causes that contribute to our inability to sit still. The first one is just distraction, and this might be your environment. It might be a smartphone. It might be you've got thoughts, you've got stress, you've got all kinds of things. It might also be the people around you. So I know that it is important to pray in church, and I try to do that on a regular basis, whether it's for Sunday Mass or you make a visit during the week or it's adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. It's important to be able to pray there, but guess what? I am super distracted when I'm at church. What about you? I mean, seriously, there's so many people around, there's sounds, there's distractions, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So the first cause of our inability to sit still is often distraction. The second cause of this inability to sit still is just our access to gadgets. There's really very few moments in a day that I don't have access to my laptop, my tablet, my smartphone, whatever. Or if they're not my own gadgets, somebody else's. My wife's, my kids, I mean, whatever. I always have access to the internet. And this is a good thing, but it also contributes to a pretty strong inability to sit still on my part. The third is what I would call a lack of transitions. You know, most of us need time to ease into prayer. Don't just assume that because you're trying to sit still that it's going to come easy, because it's not. You'll see from our solutions that we talk about in just a minute that this transition piece is actually very, very important. Okay, so sit tight for that. And the last one is just fear. I mean, most of us are afraid of sitting still, being in the presence of God, and just doing nothing, just listening. It scares the crap out of us. And it's really not different from when you're in a car ride with somebody and you're talking and you're chit-chatting, whatever, and then you run out of things to say, or you can't think of what to say next, and it's awkward. Certainly when it comes to prayer, it can be awkward with God, and we're afraid. The silence can be deafening, as the saying goes. So with these listed as just some of the causes of our struggle to sit tight and sit still when we pray, I'd like to give you some practical strategies and solutions that I think, I know these will work because I use them myself. So I'm eating my own dog food, and I'm not telling you something that I don't do myself, all right? So number 1, you want to begin with a phrase. So this is a transition phrase, even if you just say it in your head, and it can be a useful, like a trigger or a nudge to sitting still. And if you use the same phrase, this can trigger your brain and your heart that you're getting ready for a time of prayer. I like to use this phrase, and I stole it from the Liturgy of the Hours. "O God, come to my assistance. Lord, make haste to help me." And I say the glory be, and that just immediately puts me in a mindset that says, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to sit still. I'm ready to listen to whatever you have for me, God. Okay? So the first piece of sitting still is begin with a phrase and try to use the same phrase over and over again. Okay. Number 2, take note of your breathing. Are you agitated? Are you upset? Are you short of breath? I mean, what's happening with your body? Pay attention to that. And just the very simple step of paying attention to your breathing will actually help you calm down and sit still. Okay? Number 3, use a countdown. Now, I have never heard anyone teach this from a pulpit or a church, but this works. Why is a countdown important and how do you do it? A countdown is just something that everybody knows what a countdown is. 10, 9, 8. Think of New Year's Eve celebration, or think of a birthday party, or think of whatever it might be. We all have some sense that a door is closing and we're getting ready for something important. Well, why can't you do that when you go to have a time of prayer? And here's the thing, you can. And so if you're really fidgety, you're just really distracted, you're having a hard time praying, you just close your eyes and maybe you just go a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, as I just hear myself doing that in my own head, I feel myself calming down. And you can do the same thing when you go to have a time of prayer. So that's really easy. Number 3, use a countdown. Number 4, set aside your devices. Is there a lot we really need to say about this? I mean, come on. I know it's cool to have a Bible app on your phone. I have several of them, but I just don't trust myself. And so when I'm in church or I'm trying to pray, I cannot have that phone in my hand. It will distract me. So try to have your devices as far away as possible. Number 5, easy enough, use a journal. I mean, a journal is actually a very, very effective way to calm yourself down. Why? Because you're using your hand to write out your thoughts and your prayers. If you're using an app, I use one called Day One. It's an excellent app. I've used it for literally thousands of journal entries over the last few years. There's something about it just gets your stress out and onto the page or onto the screen. And that alone helps you to calm down and to be more likely to sit still. Number 6 is to fix your eyes. I don't have any empirical data on this, but I actually think it's probably true that some of us are wired by personality, by God, to be more visual. And this has nothing to do with if you're a guy, if you're a gal, whatever. But I have a friend, Father Dennis, and he prays with icons. He finds that to be very, very effective and very helpful. And so for you, it might be an icon. It might be a particular tree that you look at when you're praying on your porch. It might be a crucifix on your wall. Whatever it might be, try visually cueing yourself up so that your eyes see something holy, and that, again, helps you to sit still, helps you to be calm. Because once you do that, eventually that's going to lead you to closing your eyes, and that's really when contemplative prayer and kind of resting with God can take place. And I know this is going to sound a little bit hypocritical maybe or antithetical to number 6, fixing your eyes, but number 7 is close your eyes. So I use this example all the time. I was at this big young adult event a couple of years ago. We're talking like 15,000 people. They had this beautiful holy hour. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, very moving, beautiful music. Of course, the Lord was there in the Blessed Sacrament. But it was distracting as all get out because there were 15,000 people. And you got 15,000 people. Some are praying loudly, some are praying softly, some are kneeling, some are standing. I mean, it's just really, really difficult. So what I did, I closed my eyes. And maybe you need to do that as well. Most of us don't do that in the course of a day unless we're saying a quick prayer like, hey, God, help, or we're sleeping at night. So it can be very, very powerful to just close your eyes. You start to hear what's around you, and you start to realize what's inside your head, and that will help you to sit still. I don't know if these 7 tips will work for you, but I suspect that they will. At least 3 or 4 of them. I know that they work for me, and I use probably at least 2 or 3 of them on a regular basis. So I'm no different from any of you. I get distracted all the time, but I keep pressing on. I keep striving to get better at praying because I want to bring my very best to God when I pray, and I bet you do too. Guys, thank you so much for watching this week's video. I hope that when I see you next time, you'll be able to say that you were indeed praying well.